Struggle, privilege, male privilege, found it. Yes. It's notably absent in most girls and women. Why?
I think it's because we were never, from a younger age, never told. I think everything when we're younger, we have to be told. And we were never told, like, we can do the same sort of thing. It's like, no, you have to do this, you have to be like this, you have to be small, you have to be, like... My brain is farting. My brain is just...
You're fine. Yeah, I mean, we're painted a picture, I think, of what we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to act. And it's always, you know, I think a lot of it, you think about your childhood, it's like, good girls don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then boys will do whatever boys will be boys. There's a lot of amendments made to guys, typically, and how they behave and what they do, and it's just, I don't remember much of any of that in my childhood, and I consider my parents to be pretty good parents. But anytime I don't remember my, like that, just growing up with a brother, differences in no, this is not what boys do, or this is what what you should or shouldn't do. It's just girls are very,
yeah.
We're...
It was weird because for me growing up, I feel like my mom is very much like, no, like, you need to go ahead and do that yourself. You need to go ahead and... I think she opened up more doors for me to be able to speak my mind, be who I kind of want to be. I feel like my dad was a little bit... I mean, they got divorced, so they obviously had opposing views on stuff. And I think he was more kind of old school. I was confused growing up because I had him telling me, like, you have to be a lady, like, make sure, like, your legs are crossed and that you're not speaking too loud. And my mom's like, no, you need to speak louder. You need to actually speak up. I can't read your mind. Like, if you're upset about something, you have to tell me. And my dad's like, maybe you should just keep that to yourself. Like, let's not, like, don't tell anyone about, like, you being upset.
It's easier for you to not be emotional about things and just be and just be, you know, obedient and submissive.
Yeah.
Because that's easier to deal with.
Yeah. Not to bring up, like, horoscopes and astrology and stuff, but
Tell me.
I'm a little bit into it. I'm not super crazy like some people are.
What are you?
I'm an Aries.
Okay. I don't know. I'm a Scorpio, like to a T.
So, like, Aries are just very, like, impulsive, fiery. They definitely speak their mind, aggressive. And I feel like throughout my childhood and just growing up, like, it's been switching because I feel like the male figure in my life was trying to suppress that. And my mom, like, she's a Leo, so she's also a fire sign. So she's also like, nope, you gotta speak up. Nope, you gotta do more of that. So she's bringing out, So it's like, I am still like, I have like social anxiety and stuff like that now. Like, even doing this, I'm like shy. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm supposed to speak now. But then when it's something that, you know, I actually have thoughts on, I have no problem expressing my opinion. And it was hard in school sometimes to go ahead and say what I wanted to. And there were times that I didn't, and I bit my tongue because I learned that you can't just say your opinion on everything, but it's really choosing. Yeah.
When you made those amendments, though, if it was a room full of men and women, like, I feel like we've had such honest talks and dialogue about a lot of things where I don't think we've censored ourselves as much if our cast were different.
No, I agree with that. I feel like I wouldn't have been as, like, you've seen me, like, fly off the rails and just be, like, super goofy and, like, I curse here and there. And, like, and I feel, and I feel like maybe if we did have more males in the cast, I would just automatically be a little more, like, oh, let me keep this inside a little longer. I would eventually, knowing me, I can't help but be myself.
A little bit,
but I feel like it wouldn't be as quickly as, you know, we were able to be in this show. So that's nice.
It is. What else? Let's go back to the book.
Yeah.
That Jacob has so kindly pointed out for us. Male privilege is not something that's given to men in this culture. It's something that men take. just,
I mean, I don't know if this is kind of what it's like getting at a little bit, but I remember being in my AP, I think it was like US history class, and it was all males, and they were mainly white. I was like one of the only maybe 3 or 4 girls in it. I was the only like brown girl to begin with too, so I'm like, all right, I got 2 strikes against me. Like, I feel like I shouldn't really like speak up that much. And they were speaking about like, I had to do something, but it was just something insanely like insensitive, and I was just like kind of like kept my cool. I was just like, you know what? Nothing I say is gonna change their mind right now. And like they're all just like feeding off of each other. That's the like what's toxic. That's what I thought of when like it said male privilege isn't a word violence, is because it was crazy to see all of the males in the class kind of feed off and be like, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, man, I'm right. You're right too. Yeah, building off of each other up, and that's so dangerous because to confirm each other's like worst instincts and worst thoughts like that, that's just so dangerous. And I bit my tongue, like I said, most of the time, and then finally came a time where it was just like too much, and I was like shaking in class, and I was tearing up, and I'm like, I could either run out of here right now and like go cry in the bathroom, or I was like, you know what, like, no, I'm gonna say something. My voice shook the entire time. Tears were still streaming down my face, but I was just like, you know what, like, I still said it. And
what did you say?
I'm trying to think of the topic. It had to do with, begins with an A, and it has to do with like certain quotas, like for schools or something like that. Having the like quotas, like having certain races be at a certain percentage and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
It had to do something with that, and like there were like 2 brown people in the class, and I was the only brown girl. I was like, you are just so misinformed right now, and you're not thinking of other people because you've always had.
Right, because they haven't had to think of other people because they're in that particular demographic where things are a little bit more accessible,
easier, and it just like, I just remember shaking, and I just finally said it. Like I said, I was tears streaming down my face, like you could barely even hear what I was saying, but I was just like, you know what, like I know you guys have your own opinion, but like please just hear me out, like. And I just started saying like my own stuff, like, you know, I personally obviously am for it because I benefit from it, because I don't have a lot of opportunities and accessibility to things, and this is what I need in order to even like, I have to work so much harder as a woman to even compete with these men and be noticed in any sort of way. And I just kept going off, and I just was talking in circles, and my teacher, he was one of the greatest teachers I've ever had, he kind of like stopped me, he was just like, it's okay, like, and he like knew exactly what I was gonna say, and he said it, and like, because they were yelling at me back, they're like, no, interrupting me, and I'm like trying to talk louder, but I'm like still getting more shooken up because I'm just like, I'm trying, and it's not working. I should have just not said anything, like. And then it kind of sucked that I needed like an older man to come in, but it proved to me because they listened to exactly everything that he said. And while I was grateful for my teacher to step in and kind of speak what I couldn't gather myself to really
That's
like say
still a whole
completely.
different thing where it's like, no, let me do it for you.
Yeah, so it's like
he
partly
did-
that, and it's
he
like
did
they
the
only
right-
listen to him because he's like a guy. Yeah, he's a teacher. But
Right.
it's also if we had a female teacher and she was trying to say what I was trying to
They
say,
would have listened.
they wouldn't have listened. They would have been like, no, you're just women. And of course it confirmed to them like, oh, women are emotional, because I'm like trying to stick up for myself and I'm like shaking and crying. But one of the boys came up after me and he was just like, oh, like you're really brave for doing that. And I was like, thanks.
For speaking?
But I literally was like,
opinion?
but do you understand where I'm coming from? He was like, agree to disagree. I'm like, no. That's not how it works. This is me saying like, I'm just as valid as you are. I work so much harder than you do, and I have a fraction of place. How am I trying to say this? I have to work like 3 times as hard to get halfway where you are. Not only because I am a person of color, but also because I'm a woman. And you're not understanding that, like, how important these extra precautions, these small little benefits and opportunities that, you know, the government is trying to give us when we don't have much, just to go ahead and give us like a fighting chance, you know. And he just still didn't really listen.
He couldn't get it. Like,
No.
you could have. Yeah, I hate that the things that are in this are still. It's really cool that there's not a male character in the show to be had,
Yeah.
which is not that there aren't wonderful male characters out there. Not that I don't love and adore my male actor friends, but I think it's really cool that this is not. There is no ability for the group of men to overtake what we're trying to say.
I think too also because, yeah, they mention Walter, but they write him as like, oh, he's like just upset that a woman got his job and now he's like also not taking care of himself as much as a woman has to. Howard. Who's Walter?
I don't know. Maybe
Is there a
Walter in there somewhere else? Howard's the one at work that.
Is Joyce's husband Walter?
No, that's mom, dad. Frank. No, Frank was
Who
Joyce's
the heck
husband.
is?
I don't know. He could be someone. He's in there.
I think he's up there.
He's
Pretty
in
sure.
there.
But I was thinking if Carol Churchill actually wrote him in there and had him as like a small little like cameo instead of his wife coming in, Mrs. Kidd, then I feel like the men that are watching it would just be like, oh, well, they just wrote him as that because they're trying to prove a point. Like, men aren't actually like that. Blah, blah, blah. I would work under a woman just to say, but if that was actually them, they'd be like,
Yeah.
a little tongue-tied here. My
No,
thoughts.
you're doing
It's
grand.
the ADD.
You're doing grand.
It's the ADD. But
That's all scary.
I think that on that note,
yeah.
on it all being scary, that was a really great conversation.